Welcome to Standing Up. The council members actually seemed convinced by what you were saying. They didn't disregard what you had to say. They actually seemed concerned. You spoke to them about the concerns of 5G, and they seemed concerned. I'm guessing nothing happened from that, but they tried to push it up the ladder, perhaps, but nothing happened. But they actually, as humans, they seemed concerned. The system just didn't allow them probably to do anything with it, even had they tried. Do you think that's what happened?
Well, there was a couple of council members who were supportive. Unfortunately, they're no longer there. They've just term limited out. So
Mm,
I'm actually going back to city council today for the first time now that we have a mostly new council to try to educate them about these same problems and see if I can get a similar positive response. There were several people who were supportive and who were interested in working with me and helping, but ultimately, you said they sent it up the ladder. Up the ladder is the mayor, and the mayor is in bed with the telecom companies, specifically Verizon and Microsoft. Back in 2018, he signed a deal to bring 5G to Houston and to make Houston one of the first test cities for 5G. And he was given the 5G Wireless Champion Award, which is a silly award they give to various city officials for removing all regulations and restrictions and
mhm,
roadblocks and basically just getting in bed. I mean, to me, this is a problem that many anarchists talk about. What we refer to as statism. You have the state, in this case, the local governmental body, collaborating with the corporations. Some people call it corporatism, statism, but they have this relationship together that completely ignores and just invalidates the people, that are supposed to be represented by these politicians, and says, all right, well, we're going to do a deal. We want to turn Houston into a smart city. Okay, well, we'll give you a 5G wireless champion award for your efforts, and you have a little trophy. And I'm sure there was a lot of meetings and things that the public wasn't privy to. There was never a vote that was held. There was never any sort of environmental impact study or a health study. There wasn't any sort of public discussion comment period. It's just the mayor on his own making these decisions. And again, that was one of the reasons I chose to run for mayor, because Houston, particularly in the U.S., has one of the strongest mayoral positions in the country. One of only two that are set up this way, where the mayor is basically a dictator. You have a 16 person council, and then you have the mayor at the head of it. But the 16 council members have very limited ability to do anything. I mean, they can
mhm.
kind of say yes or no to certain things, but at the end of the day, the mayor has the ability to set the agenda for what they discuss. He has the ability to essentially veto any items that he doesn't like, and any topic that he doesn't approve of doesn't get placed on the official agenda, which means that if it's not on the official agenda, it can't be discussed or debated and then voted on. So obviously, something like 5G, me and other people coming there to talk about that when he's already in bed with the telecom companies, this is something that he basically, if you look at any of the videos, he just looks down, he doesn't, answer, or he's playing on his phone. So I started confronting him in public and going to events, and like I said, that's what led me to run for mayor, because I was getting sick of being told, "Ding, your time's up," or no comment, or just having him literally
Right.
laugh in my face and run away from me. So but unfortunately, yeah, nothing has changed. It's we're still fighting out here to see what we can do. I was at this other bureaucracy yesterday. I'd never heard of it. It's called the Tower Commission, and apparently this is another 7 person body of unelected people that I've never heard of. There's no pictures of them. There's no email, no contact information about who these people are. But they are the people that, if you have a tower being built near your home, this is who you complain to. You file an appeal,
Mm.
and then they'll bring lawyers from the telecom companies, and they'll let you speak, and then they get to decide yes or no, do they deny or approve this permit. And in this case, there was a woman arguing because they're building a 5G tower 35 feet away from her home, which is, I mean, that's right next door,
Right.
if you can imagine that. So yeah, there's a lot of bureaucracies around that, and there's not any real media here in Houston. I'm local media. I have a radio show here in Houston, and I do my YouTube channel. But as far as like the television media, I've been on local media a couple of times here and there, but for the most part, there's no real investigative journalism on the local level that is telling the people of Houston, hey, there are hundreds of lawsuits taking place around the US and around the world about 5G. There are health concerns, there are privacy concerns, there's loss of local power concerns, there's corruption going on, there's environmental concerns. Maybe you should be concerned about this, because as you know, the media, they don't necessarily always lie directly. Sometimes it's just about not providing context, right? They don't help people
Mhm.
understand a situation so that they can fully grasp the importance of it. They just kind of casually, okay, well, some people are upset about 5G. Next story, let's move on, right? And I think that's where things are really lost by not providing the context and helping people understand that there is a global movement pushing back against 5G for a number of reasons. That might encourage more people to get
Right,
involved. But people typically, I think, they get involved once they see other people taking action.
right. So, yeah, it sounds like it's being rolled out without really asking anybody's opinion about it. And you'd say the main concerns are a health concern, private and privacy concerns. Are these the main concerns with 5G?
There's a lot of focus on that. I do think, obviously, health is, health is important to us living as just living beings. So
Right.
that's one major concern. The privacy concerns are huge as well. I interviewed a lawyer with the American Civil Liberties Union, and they had written a guide called "How to Prevent Smart Cities from Turning into Surveillance Cities," and it was specifically aimed at, the local leadership in cities like Houston, trying to give them on advice on how to pass ordinances or resolutions or just make sure that privacy was being considered. And here in Houston, that's not even a conversation. They just kind of act like we're crazy for talking about that. But the fact of the matter is that when 5G is fully rolled out, we're going to be living in what they're calling the Internet of Things, which is basically the world of interconnected devices, not just your smartphone and your laptop, but the smart refrigerator and the smart street light and the smart car and the driverless vehicles and the robot assistants and the artificial intelligence, all of those things being interconnected with the creation of tens and thousands of new sensors that will be basically, the future is that if they can put a chip or a sensor into anything, it will be there, and everything will be smart, to some degree, which means it also has the ability to listen to you,
Right.
to record you, to monitor your activity. So this opens a door for a level of corporate surveillance that we've never seen, but also obviously governments can
Right.
easily access those things and built-in backdoors. So that's another big concern. I think it's a part of the overall push towards a smart grid and what I'm calling the technocratic state. But there also are, and this is probably more specific to the U.S., but I think it applies everywhere because from what I've seen, they're using the same model, globally. Um, it's setting a precedent to take away local power. So in the U.S., you had Donald Trump issue an executive order that says that cities have 60 to 90 days to approve new cell sites. So, say you're a telecom company and you say, hey, we want to build this tower next to this house. Well, according to this executive order issued by Donald Trump, a city government has up to 90 days to approve it. There's no decision to be made. You basically just have 90 days to approve it. And so it's a rubber stamp. You can't argue against it based on health. Like that was from the very beginning, the 1996 Telecommunications Act, which was written with help from Verizon and these companies, specifically says that cities can't fight it on health grounds. So even if health is one of the major concerns, legally, if you come to them with health arguments, they won't listen, which is kind of crazy if you think about that. That you can't argue about health. So you come to them from that way, they're not going to listen. But I think the bigger picture is it's establishing a precedent where the federal government and the state governments and the local governments are stripping away local power. So you have a corporation that is working with the government. Again, this is just straight up statism, corporatism, working with them to say how much you can charge. Because not only is it you have 90 days to approve the towers, but the government can decide how much you can charge. So the federal government's telling local governments you can't take more than 90 days and you can't charge them more than $200, and the only complaints you can make are based on aesthetics. If you don't like it, we'll make it look like a palm tree, that sort of thing. So it is, I believe it's part of this as well as setting a precedent to strip away local power, not just related to 5G, but let's imagine the next corporation comes in and they say, hey, well, we want to build something right there. Well, the precedent has already been established that the local bodies have no ability to argue against it and can't stop it. So I think that we're really going to be at a point where that merger of corporate and state power is just going to become, further entrenched, and it's going to become backed up with this digital smart grid. And so that's why I've been referring to it as the technocratic state, because I think it's more emblematic of what we're dealing with the technologist and the sort of experts in their fields merging that corporate world with the state. And yeah, I don't think it's going to end up well for many of us.
Right.